So, Assassin's Creed Hexe, which is supposedly a newer, well, not supposedly, we know the game is real. We've seen trailers for it, or a trailer for it, rather. Um, but it is allegedly the gayest Assassin's Creed ever, or yet. Um, and Ubisoft allegedly dreading the release of its upcoming Assassin's Creed Hexe after it was rumored to be the gayest Assassin's Creed yet. So, traditionally, uh witches are servants of the devil, right? And they have covens, they'd have covens. Think of covens like AA groups, support places they would go to, people more like them. But traditionally in history, considering this game is supposed to take place during the Salem witch trials, it wasn't exclusively women who were killed for, black magic or witchcraft. Men, children. If you were doing some weird, shady stuff, you were killed for witchcraft. And I don't think if I don't remember if the term warlock or sorcerer was used back then, or pretty much anyone who's considered using black magic was a witch. But um, yeah, they men, women, children. If you were doing some weird, shady crap that people couldn't explain, you were considered a witch. Um, and I don't get where the whole lesbian, the gay stuff comes from, because guess what? Witches still had male partners, sexual relations, whether it be enchanting them and kind of forcing them to, or, some guys who were just down bad for some sweet, sweet witch loving. So I don't know why people consider the witches to be gay just because they have covens, I guess. But if you were a person back then doing some weird crap, that you were probably going to be killed for being a witch. Man, woman, child, didn't matter. So, but now we're in an age where it's like Agatha all along is the gayest Marvel project ever. Look, oh my God, witches are so gay. Since when? Since when? Oh. Um, but told that. So just to sum it up, Dimian, Insider tells him that's going to be the gayest project yet. That's going to be all females, mysticism, maybe a few males thrown in as like people you take out, and the villain, the big bad villain. Saying it's going to be the most striking or striking visually compared to the other games, which the game always has lent itself to realism. So I don't see how it would be like visually striking unless they're talking about, the magic elements of it. Um, Female port power oriented, talk about a lot of lesbian relationships and female characters. Again, if we're talking about historically, people who were witches still had male partners. So I don't get this idea of which could have covens and apparently very little masculine presence within the game. Although my sources told me that they believe that the game will be scaled down in the future and then made into a Liberation-esque game instead of a mainline title. Ubisoft dreading it. I assume the game will be devoid of male characters, besides, of course, the ones you probably kill and hunt. And like I said, it's going to have borderline magic at this point in the Assassin's Creed series, so expect lots of Isu gobbledygook. But that's what I was told about Hex so far. They are calling the reaction to the game's plot and setting to be not what players want in the From franchise. Yeah, we don't want female empowerment storyline. There's already been enough of that, and again, witches aren't always women. Now, traditionally, you think of the witches, the stereotypical witch, pointy hat, the black hat, all that. But that's not how witches really work. Obviously, one, because there are no real witches. But two, if you were in Massachusetts or anywhere that would, in the 1600s and you were accused of witchcraft, a lot of the times it was if people were spazzing out. People had borderline, mental disorders or seizures. They would accuse someone of witchcraft because they didn't know what seizures were back then. They didn't, so they put the blame on someone. It didn't matter if it was a male, female. If there was just some person around who was acting kind of shady or weird, hey, look, that person's a witch. Um, if there was a guy who comes in from out of nowhere and starts curing people because he's studied medicine or whatever, guess what? He's getting considered a witch and he's getting killed too. So it didn't really matter. It didn't matter. If there was a kid who was just acting like a goofball and being stupid and doing things that people didn't understand, oh, that little boy's a witch. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Man, woman, child, they'd all be hanging. Or in the stockade. So to think that just they were all females, it's a little ridiculous. Little ridiculous. That's just the way that the media has portrayed them as females. Like I said, I don't think the word warlock or sorcerer was really used back then for them. I think it just pretty much it all fell under the witch title. It's a witch junior. If they were children, that didn't happen. Uh, it's a mini witch. Uh, should we kill them? They're just children. Well, they're not really doing anything. We can't allow them to grow up to embrace their full power, so we have to kill them. But yeah, that's more of a media thing. And nowadays, people hear witches and, oh my god, witches are super gay, these. Like, no, they're not. Again, witches, people who were considered a witchcraft still had, a lot of them had husbands. And a lot of the times, the husbands were either told to either leave town or they were killed too. And some of these men who were adulterers would say that a witch had them under their spell, that the person that they were having an affair with, it was a witch, and she had put me under her spell. It's like, burn the witch. So to get this idea that, witches are gay, and Assassin's Creed is already falling pretty hard with Shadows. I really don't think this company can afford to have any more dog crap freaking titles. Everything that's come out from them for this year has been crap. This was apparently started at a time where they were pandering. Let's see. They are internally allegedly very angry that people are not enjoying the female-centric push for this game and others. And there are discussions the game might be gutted in order to change it to make it more commercially viable, if you will. But I doubt anything they can do to this game will fix much of anything. The trailer of 2022 showed Assassin's symbol made out of a bunch of branches. A bundle of sticks, if you will. Hanging in a dark, gloomy, creeping, grim forest. And then people working for the company. The goal is to have Assassin's Creed games come out more regularly, but not for it to be the same experience every year. There are a lot of good things to come, including Assassin's Creed Hexe, which we've announced. which is going to be very different, a very different game from Assassin's Creed Shadows. We're hoping to surprise people, I think. Uh, Set during the latter stage of the Holy Roman Empire and revolved around witch trials. Hex is German for witch. They should have just put that at the beginning, you know, because it just seems so odd to put it like almost like right here at the end. Ubisoft Montreal. But yeah, so the company's dreading this game apparently. They should just change it to Assassin's Creed Dread, which kind of is a cool name. But the only reason they would be dreading it is if it was true. Because there are times where people are like, "Oh man, it's going to be a bad game." And then people will play it and it's like, "Oh yeah, it's actually really really good." And then they make money. But the fact that they're dreading it kind of tells you, it's like, especially if it's was started around the time that like say Shadows was, at a time where they were pandering, which is what they said. They were, you know, this and Shadows at a time where, you know, political climate and pandering to these people, you know, like the Me Too movement and all that. How with Shadows, Yasuke was clearly, you know, to pander to black people, like, oh my god, George Floyd, we stand with Black Lives Matter. See, we have a game with a historical black male figure. And but nowadays, now it's like no one cares. We don't want Yasuke. We want, you know, an actual historical figure who did something during that era. So this was probably like, oh yeah, female empowerment and women have the power and blah blah, blah. Just more pandering. Um, but yeah, the witch stuff. It's been a while since I studied witch history. Um, but yeah, women who were accused of being witches. Again, most of them, if not all of them, or not all, some of them might have actually been gay. But again, if a guy had a wife and he was sleeping with another woman and he didn't want to be found out, he would just accuse the woman he was sleeping with of witchcraft. You know, there are some guys who like the witchcraft thing. It's like, ooh, it's kind of a turn on, and would seek these women out. If a guy was married to a woman who was accused of witchcraft, he would either be killed or he would be forced to leave the village or whatever, wherever he was living. Um, if you did anything that was out of the ordinary, whether it be man, woman, child, you were considered a witch. Um, so to if they are indeed making an Assassin's Creed game and labeling it internally as the gayest ever, why? That's a media thing. That's a media thing. For some reason, the media, Hollywood, look at witches and say they're gay. That's historically, that's not how it was. Having a coven does not make you gay. Like I said, it's like an AA meeting. You know, group of people who are, you know, joining together to, you know, who understand each other and work through hardships. That's more what a coven was. But the fact that they're dreading it kind of lets you know that maybe this might be true. Even though it is rumor, it's a theory, a game theory, if you will. You wouldn't have much reason to be dreading something unless there was an inkling of truth behind it. So, anyway, can't expect much from this company anymore. It's like I've said, that the phrase, you know, that Batman phrase has come true. You know, that you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Companies like them and Bethesda and EA, they've lived long enough to see themselves become the villain. So, anyway, that's gonna do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.